This woman is not just Jessica Jones. She wrote a badass book. Give her another round of applause.
Thank you.
Writing is not easy.
No.
What made you want to write a book?
So, I was reading a lot of books. Okay, so my personality is like, when I first started acting and started reading pilots, I was like, ooh, I want to do this. Let me try to write one. And so I did.
You have the personality that's like, I could do that.
I
see you
can
doing
do that. I want to do that. Let me go for it. So my personality has like a little bit of fearlessness. That sometimes when I get outside of my body and look at it, I'm like, what are you doing? Who are you? Why are you so fearless? So I started like writing pilots, and then I, got into doing independent films. I was like, I want to make my own independent film. And I started reading a bunch of books with these great like female protagonists. Obviously it's a great medium and forum to spend a lot of time with a woman and great with a character and get inside their head. So I was like, nice Beetlejuice bag. Thank you. Sorry. So I was like, I want to try this. And this idea specifically was something that I had been kicking around for a few years already. I'm from a small town. I wanted to make my own story and contribute rather than like just waiting for my phone to ring with a roll.
Doesn't your small town that you're from also begin with a B?
No, it does not.
I thought according to Wikipedia.
No, it doesn't. Wikipedia doesn't say that. I don't think.
Bloomberg, Pennsylvania or something
No, I was born in a hospital in Bloomsburg, but I'm not from Bloomsburg. I'm from a town called Shikshini, Pennsylvania.
That's such a better small town name.
Totally, and it's not made up. And before that, I lived in actually, you're right, I lived in a town before that called Benton, also small, also starts with a B.
We're doing this because the name of the town in this book is Barron's. So
Barron's, which is made up, it's not real.
Barron's, Indiana, I believe, right?
Yes, yeah, it's made up, not real. I didn't want to set it like.
Don't look it up.
I didn't want to set it in a town like in Pennsylvania because then people would think it's me, and it's not. The book is fiction. Yeah. So I really wanted to set a book and the story in a setting that's like where I'm from, a part of the country that isn't totally represented as often. A lot of books and movies and TV shows are always set in big cities. Did you see Making a Murderer? Mm-hmm. So that was set like in a part of the country we don't see very often. And it was kind of like where I'm from looks like. So I really wanted to just like really get authentic about that. So that was kind of the spark of the idea. Spark, get it?
Spark starts fire.
Yeah, totally. Sparks
fires make bonfires.
# bonfire the book. So I wanted to, when you're in a small town, like the weekend activity is like a Friday night, you're going to a bonfire or like the back of a pickup truck, hanging out. That's the activity. So I thought it'd be so cool to, have some teenagers at a bonfire, some shit goes down, and then everybody in this small town is working to cover it up. So that was where the idea started. And then I thought a lot about my main character, what themes I wanted to explore, things that like I kind of relate to emotionally, images that I kind of held on to, and kind of went from there. So I put together like this idea. I have a production company, so I'm always kind of like throwing around ideas and developing ideas and arenas for TV pitches. So I did all this work to develop Bonfire as a TV pitch. So then I marched into my agency with all my ideas, which randomly I just went home to Los Angeles 2 weeks ago and like saw my original ideas, and it was awesome. So I pitched it to my agency, and they felt like because I have this parallel storyline of the teenagers, that it would narrow my window of who I could sell this idea to. So like, let's focus on some of your other ideas, which happens a lot.
Right. Can we talk? How do you mean? Because it's not just about this one woman who is essentially, she's not a detective, she's a lawyer, but she's acting as a kind of detective in this story. Because there's this other storyline with the teenagers, they thought that it wouldn't sell to one specific audience well enough.
Correct. So I guess like every market cycle or every year, there's a new mandate from each network. Right. They're whatever, or anything. CBS is looking for a female cop drama. You know what I mean? Like they're looking for certain things to tick certain boxes, fill certain quadrants for their demo. And because this is female-led, small town, murder mystery, which was like also, it was kind of around the same time that like Serial was blowing up. So everybody's pitching these crime anthologies. And because it's teenagers, like a network, like a grown-up network, like CBS, maybe wouldn't pick up on it, whatever. So just kind of like narrow it down. Yeah. And so there was a list of maybe like three places, 3 buyers that we could take it to. So let's focus our energy on something else. I don't really like to be told no.
Does that push you even harder? Are you the type of person who gets creative in spite, out of spite of things sometimes?
I think so.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah.
Tell me I can't do this. I'm going to go do it right now.
And bigger and better than you ever imagined. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like been in me since I was a teenager. But also, I really loved the idea. Like sometimes, sure, you have things and they're not going to sell, and you move on, and then maybe like they stick with you. But this one really stuck with me. I think because it felt so personal. And I felt like I had such a good handle on this. I felt like I had so much to bring this idea. And I felt personally connected to it more so than other stuff I work on because of where it is and who the character is and some of the stuff that she's dealing with. And I just kind of wasn't ready to let it go. And then I was thinking about it more, and a lot of times when you are trying to sell an idea, everybody wants existing intellectual property. Everybody wants something.
Still a thing?
That's a thing. I mean, I've even optioned other people's books to develop, It's hard to sell out there.
So you're creating an intellectual property first so that you can then go sell after.
Yes, that's exactly what this master plan of mine was. So it started that way.
You're like, I could be a novelist. What I really need is intellectual property to sell to a TV show.
Yeah, it was kind of all of those things. Like all of those things led to me doing this. Mm-hmm. So I felt like, okay, well maybe I can reverse engineer this and then make it a book. And then it kind of just I think that was magic taking over a bit for me. Because this idea and this character, I think really works in a book.
Oh yeah.
Because you've read it, she's not exactly all put together. She's not likable always. I think she's likable. But she's got a lot of quirks, a lot of flaws, a lot of demons, a lot of baggage, tics, all of that stuff that...
But she's smart, and she's on top
very
of
smart.
her shit.
She's smart, and she's successful on paper, maybe not emotionally. And she also does the right thing and sticks up for the little guy. So I feel like in a book for this character, you can really get inside her head. It's not unlike television, right? So we're seeing all these great, messy female protagonists on television because you get to spend all this time with them. I think there's just something about being in a head or having the time and space and real estate with a character that really lets you get to know them. So that is where it all began and why.
Well, I'm curious. So it begins with all of those ideas surrounding sort of the business and being pushed into this, and then finding a love for writing a novel, and at the same time this beginning of a bonfire with teenagers where something screwed up happens. When does this storyline come to you about sort of the corporate takeover of a small town and how they can conceal secrets and the exploitation of the sexual exploitation of minors, which is very reminiscent of, even though it was teenagers doing it, of something like Steubenville or something where young women are being embarrassed and humiliated and shamed because of something that's going on in this town.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned Steubenville. I'm very, very familiar with that. My grandparents are from Steubenville. They've passed away since, but I would spend a lot of time there. My aunt lived there. My cousin went to that school. I think I was, yeah, exactly. And then I don't know if you saw that documentary, Audrey and Daisy on Netflix.
I think I did. Yeah, excuse me.
So that was happening around the same time I was writing this book. There's some really dark stuff out there that's happening to girls.
Yeah.
It's
always been happening and continues to happen.
And now we're hearing about it. Yeah. And now it's front and center in conversations. Yeah. But my interest in small town corruption and subterfuge started way before that, because I am from this small town where there was always this threat that if you get in trouble, you're going to go in front of this judge. His name was Judge Chivarella. I don't know if you saw a documentary years ago called Kids for Cash. That is where I'm from.
Really?
And it was always a threat to me that if you're not good, you're going to go in front of this judge, because it was known that this judge was putting kids in juvie for nothing, for running away, for like stealing $5. And then when that documentary happened, I was like, oh my God, Mom.
And
the
then,
thing that you were threatening me with was real. Like,
and the
guy was
juvie,
getting kickbacks
yeah, exactly.
for sending kids to juvie.
Because these were private juvenile institutions,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
And ruining kids' lives.
Yeah.
So I was like, how is that happening? Like, this guy gets to like basically ruin these young kids' lives for like a couple of bucks. And meanwhile, that guy's like smoking weed on the weekends with like whatever peers. So that was like, that was kind of the original way in for this book. And that was something I was really playing around with, just doing that first. And then it kind of just, grows and grows.
It's so interesting.
I'm so worked up now.
But
like, that makes me crazy.
It's so interesting when you start writing, right? And your idea is like something fucked up at a bonfire, teenagers, and then all of a sudden this thing pops out, this idea comes out that is like, you can tie to it, that's like kind of from where you grew up, and kind of from this and this other thing that kind of feels like this. And all of these sort of ideas that you've been thinking about or feelings that you've had over the course of like 4 years suddenly start coming into this one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you find, when you're writing, how do you find what works with the story and what doesn't? Like, how do you self-edit, if at all?
How do I self-edit?
Yeah.
Well, it's hard. You know what I mean? You have to kind of like not be precious with things. You try stuff out, it doesn't work. You kind of like throw a bunch of stuff down and then realize, oh my God, wow, I still have 300 pages to fill. I still need like a whole other storyline.
Yeah. Did you outline before you sat down? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So exactly. So the whole thing was like, for me, and I realize now what the process was more so than when I was actually doing it, which is probably the case with everybody and everything in life. It started as like a couple of page treatment, and then it goes to like a 15-page treatment, a whole pitch and like stuff, and the whole song and dance worked out. From there, yeah. Couple
Your
jokes.
impression of the song and dance.
Oh yeah,
really
totally. All the stuff, and then bada bam. And then it grows into an outline that's maybe like 18 pages, and then you grow. The more detailed your outline, the better. So then I would just make it grow every day, even if that meant getting super in the zone and writing a ton, or if I was stuck, which happens, just write something, even if it's vomit, and go back and fix it later. Just make it grow. So
you were writing every day for this.
Yeah. I was writing every day. Not until like I wasn't writing every single day until I sold the book proposal. Then it was like,
got it right.
Whoa, what have I got myself into?
Right.
And then that was every day, hardcore, and I then fell in love with the process. But I made it grow. And then I turned to a corkboard, index cards, corkboard, thumbtacks. Up on a board. So that's kind of what the process was. And then from there, moving around, realizing you have major holes, realizing you needed like nothing is going to make sense ever. And then just work. And then kind of going from there, and then I would work in chunks.
What was your hardest moment with the book? It could be something that was in the book, but a moment where you were like, I don't know what I'm doing. Have I made a big mistake here? And like you took off writing for like a week or so, or maybe even longer, because you were just like, I don't even know if I can do this.
Yeah, so totally.
The hardest part, it happens like you hit something and you're like, oh, I'm a failure. I should never have started doing this. And then you have to find courage to go back and keep doing it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to find the courage. You got to dig deep. Because my character is a lawyer, I always like, everyone always asks me like, oh, if you could have another job, what would it be? And I always say I'd be a lawyer because on TV it looks great. Like that performance in the courtroom, it looks like a lot of fun. But it's a lot of busy work and a lot of tedious like stuff that I didn't know. And then I was like, oh God, like what have I got? I'm in trouble.
You can't just Wikipedia lawyer and get all the information that you need.
But you have to like Google and Wikipedia like how to get a subpoena, how to get financial records from companies that like what has to be disclosed. So like kind of that was really hard, and I had a lot of help too with that. But I did a lot of research, and then those sections. The hardest part was for me, they were getting a little boring. So, and then, you kind of trust that it'll get there. Now I would love to go back and just tell myself, hey, Krysten, it's okay. You can sleep tonight. It will get there. But I would overwrite those sections, and then they would kind of read like VCR instructions. And then I was like, oh, right. I don't need to explain what are the steps to going about this, because that's what Krysten would do. But the character wouldn't actually do that because she knows it and it's a shorthand. So she should be able to talk about this stuff the way that I talk about my real life job and my acting and whatever, like shorthand, get in, get out. So that was like a really hard part of the book that at moments I felt like I bit off more than I could chew. But then you just put one foot in front of the other, break everything down into like a good to-do list and bite-sized chunks.
What were you doing in terms of your acting career while you were writing the book?
Nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
You took time off?
No, I didn't. I had forced time off. So I did a movie that I did The Hero, but
oh, great, yeah.
I had been working. Well, okay, so Bonfire as a TV pitch was around for a long time, even before when I was doing Jessica Jones season 1. So when season 1 came out, obviously that was well received, and we got it picked up for a second season kind of right away. But when I signed on for Jessica Jones, I also signed on for The Defenders, and that was already on the calendar and it happening at a certain time. So I got a great call being like, you're going to go to work on The Defenders and Jessica Jones back to back. It's going to be a lot of work, but you're not going to be able to work for 15 months in television. And my whole career, I've been every year doing television and films. So it was kind of like, oh, what do you mean I can't work in television versus, wow, this is a great gift that I've been given. I have a little bit of security and time that I can really hunker down and focus on this book.
Wait, so they were saying you're going to do these things back to back, and that's in 15 months?
Yes,
so
correct,
you can't
correct.
work for the next 15 months
Correct.
until we start shooting this?
Correct.
That's an incredible gift.
I know. I'm so fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there were days where that didn't feel fortunate. That felt like, because I like to do a lot of things, obviously, but
writing is not doing a lot of things. It's the weirdest thing about it.
Yeah, yeah. So, my whole system for myself is I would wake up in the morning, still in my PJs, massive pot of coffee, get to work on my computer, write for a little bit at my desk, and then I'd write in bed. I love writing in bed. And then your back and neck start to hurt after a while. So then I would move to the table. I even had to get a cushion because then I would just sit with bad posture. And then I would write at least till 4 or 5. And then when the sun,
Waking up to 4 or 5?
No. I would write until about 4 or 5.
Right. You'd wake up in the morning
whenever
7 or
I want
8,
it. No. I don't
10?
wake. No, I don't wake up at 7. No. I don't wake up at 7. I wake up if I don't have to shoot, I wake up alarmless.
So 9 or 10.
Sure.
And you
coffee.
And right till 5?
Totally. And if I got
Wow.
stuck, I walk away or I pace around. There's a lot of laps. There's a lot of laps in my house. A lot of laps. There's probably marks on the floor.
You go on long, meditative idea walks outside?
Yeah, sometimes. I always find, no matter what is going on with me, whether it's stuck on writing, anxious, a little blue, everything is always fixed by just getting out of your house and walking your dog. No matter what. Just do it. You just have to get out of the house. So I would do that, and I live in a cute little neighborhood. I could just walk around and whatever. And then the sun goes down, I would knit for the rest of the night. So that was what I did on my break from Jessica Jones.
And how close are you to writing a second book? Are you excited to try it out? I know this one's just coming out.
This one just came out yesterday.
Yeah. So maybe it's a wrong question to ask.
No, it's not. I think I'm really interested in Abby's emotional life. I'm really interested in.
So a series.
I don't know. I don't know if it's her. I don't know if it's just a continuation of her emotional life. I'm really interested, and this is where I am in my life and my age. You get to a point as an adult, right, where these systems that you've put in place for yourself are survival, keep moving, work. Well, this thing back here that kind of maybe isn't so pretty, let's just leave that. And then one day it's hey, I'm still here, and you have to go back and look at some stuff. So I'm interested in that thematically, and I'm interested in who I am. And
well, that's what writing's for.
Exactly. That's what
how
the
you
art
look
is
at that
for.
stuff and then still not focus on it.
100%. You're still hiding. You're still playing a role. And I've tricked myself this whole time to thinking oh, well, I always put it into my acting. I'm using that stuff, but still you have to actually address things. So I'm interested in exploring what happens when you go back and deal with that shit finally, and you're ready to move forward. Okay, what happens next? We all want to know what happens next. So I also really enjoyed spending all of this time as this character. As far as I'm concerned, this is a role that I played, and
This is a role that you played.
I think so.
Yeah, because you were pitching it as a show initially beforehand. That I bet imagining yourself playing it.
Oh, yes. I mean, or whatever, or another great actress, you know,
Right.
or somebody else that fits this. It's funny because a lot of people, like, in my career, like, whenever there's a part for, like, somebody from a small town, I never get those parts because they think I look like so city. Which I'm like, all right. But yeah, because so in a way, Bonfire and creating Abby felt like a lot of the prep work that I do for my acting jobs.
Can I ask you, have you gone back to your small town at all? And do you feel like the girl that got out, as Abby sort of is in this book? Like,
for sure.
People refer to her as the girl that got out, and they're all somewhat, even though she's a lawyer in this book, kind of starstruck by, her ambition.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like, I don't know if people are starstruck, but I am on the Wikipedia page for my small town. And that's, you know what I mean? Like,
big time.
It's pretty big. It's kind of a big deal.
That is actually probably one of those things that no matter what other accolades or like write-ups you've gotten, when that happened, you were like, I did it.
And you know how I found out? I found out because I was kind of like looking up what the actual population.
You were Googling yourself, just be honest.
I was looking up what the actual population of the small town was when developing Barrens. The population of Barrens is bigger. It's about 5,000. But Shikshini, where I'm from, is only 1,000 or 1,100. And I looked that up, and I was like, wow, that's like nothing. That's so little. And then there's like notable people. And I was like, oh my God.
Was there a nasty nickname for Shikshini when you were growing up? It seems like it lends
take one guess.
It lends itself to an obvious nasty nickname. So, Okay. Let's get some questions from the audience. Who is right here?
Hi, so I have an advanced reader's copy of the book, and I've been reading it recently, and I love how you wrote Abby as this relatable girl who goes back to this small town where the people that tormented her come back and say hi like they never knew her. So I was wondering what put you in that mindset of Abby to give her this tragic backstory and have her relate to a lot of different people who's been in this situation.
Why did I? Sorry, what is that? What is the? Why did I make her?
Like have a tragic backstory? Yeah. Why did you give her, I think, a tragic backstory where she was picked on or made fun of as a teenager?
Yeah. Why did I give her a tragic backstory? Well, it's juicy storytelling, right? I wouldn't say that I have a tragic backstory, but I do relate to a lot of the feelings that Abby has. Which I think we all do. I think we all know what it's like to go home for Thanksgiving and all of a sudden you're acting like you did when you were 15. You're kind of a jerk and kind of a brat. Somebody says something to you and you just kind of become a teenager again. You see people, you see places, you smell things that just open up a box of stuff that you thought you forgot about. You are convinced that you've forgotten about, but then like they're back and it's a whole thing. So it's really about kind of just going back and doing a little digging into yourself. So that's what I was mostly interested in.
It's that weird feeling of, I've held on to this. Why haven't you held on to this? Why are you talking to me like you're not holding on to what I held on to?
Yeah, or even the opposite, when your parents are like, oh, remember when you did this? And I'm like, no, I don't remember that at all. Are you still thinking about that 20 years ago? Yeah. It's people, things stick with people.
Looking forward to Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go to Mexico with my girlfriends.
Next question, right here.
Hi, Krysten.
Hi, how are you?
Good, you? Okay, my question is, are there any authors that inspire you to become one?
Yeah, so, ever since Gone Girl, right, there have been so many great thriller books with great female protagonists, and I read those, and I devour them, and they're fun, and you can read them in a weekend. I love Gillian Flynn. I love Mary Kubica, who wrote, The Good Girl and Every Last Lie. I love Ruth Ware. In a Dark, Dark Wood is so good, and The Woman in Cabin 10 is so good. I just got her new book, The Lying Game. I love Tana French.
Did you devour those books or books like that while you were writing, or did you try to steer clear of before?
Before. When I started writing, I kind of I'm kind of like go ham on one thing.
Right.
which like then changes. Then I'll like, oh, I'm really into this now. You know what I mean? But sometimes when I'm done shooting something, I try to read a lot of books, and like do cool stuff so that I have stuff to talk about. That's not just like, oh, I've been on set for so long, and that's something I take really seriously. And even now, so I'm trying to incorporate that more into the shooting because my job has gotten busier that it's year round. And so in order to like keep stuff, it keeps good stuff going out, you have to put good stuff in. So I try to like make time to read books and do my knitting and play my guitar and like.
What's the last thing you knit?
What's the last thing I knit?
Yeah.
Oh, I knit like, I knit a scarf for my friend literally 2 days ago.
How long did it take you to knit a scarf?
It probably took a week and a half, and that's not working on it every day. That's like maybe like jamming on it for a good hour and a half here, half hour here.
Jamming on knitting.
Jamming on it, yeah.
Your knit jam.
Yeah, I made it for a friend of mine who I work with on my show. He's an AD on the show, and he didn't have a scarf, so I'm like, winter's coming. I'm gonna keep you warm. So.
Are you shooting another season of Jessica Jones right now?
I just finished it.
You just finished shooting another. So the third season is in the can. Second?
Second, yeah.
I thought that already came. Maybe it was the first season Defenders and now the second.
Correct.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
All
first season Defenders, and then up next will be Jessica.
Wow. And then another season of Defenders, or?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. No one said anything. I always thought that the Defenders was a one-off, so I don't know. However, I got to say that was real fun to do. Charlie Cox has become one of my closest friends. Mike has already been one of my closest friends. Finn's heaven in a box. Like I really enjoyed working with those guys. I've heard recently that it was hard to get work done because we were having so much fun together. We would be like, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, okay, guys. And we're like, oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, ready. So I would love to do another Defenders. I have no idea. So that's like not a decision I get to make.
Next question.
Okay, so hi. So as a writer, I was interested in kind of like how you got yourself to finish the book. Because for me, like that's always my constant struggle. Like I'll write something and then I'll leave it. So what was some of the things? Like did you have a deadline? Did you have a main motivation?
Yeah.
You sold it.
Yeah, so that was the deadline. Yeah. So I first only had a book proposal, which was just under 100 pages, and then like a brief outline of what the rest of the book would be. It was brief. So I had a lot of work to do. And then when the book sold, they, you know how it kind of works, they have a release date before your book is even done. So it's like, grindstone time. So that helped me in terms of having a system in place. But what you can do, you can make a self-imposed deadline. You can set goals for yourself of just like what I was saying before, make it grow every day. And that is doable because there will be days where you're going to feel like writing so much and like so in it. And then there's going to be other days where you don't feel like writing. It's just like, we get into like great rhythms. You go to the gym all the time and you're like crushing it. And then all of a sudden you're just watching reality TV and eating pizza. It's about that balance and kind of trusting that everything is going to go like this. So if you're up, you're going to go down. If you're down, you're definitely going to go up at some point. So it's about trusting that process, being your own boss, and just going for it.
But it's also one of those things you're only going to find those ups if you're maintaining some sort of copacetic
You have to show up for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to show up. No one's going to do anything for you. You have to show up for yourself. And if you keep up, you'll be kept up.
Krysten, congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. It's dark. It's
it is
funny.
dark.
But it's dark. Yeah,
It's pretty dark.
It's pretty dark.
There's some jokes too.
There's a few jokes, yeah, and there's some amazing lines. I have some that are in here, but I didn't get a chance to say anything. I love the book. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's on shelves now.
Yep.
And Jessica Jones season 2 will be coming out sometime soon, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. Is there a release date on that?
I don't know.
Fair enough. You can go watch the
Do you
first
remember I
season.
work for Marvel? There's snipers everywhere at all times.
And the Defenders on Netflix now. Give a round of applause for Krysten Ritter, everybody. Let's hear it.